Hello again. I've never really understood the current enthusiasm in left-wing circles for censorship. 50 years ago, prudishness and a desire to prevent people saying or printing what they liked was both the preserve of people like Mary Whitehouse, and the desire to censor books and newspapers was definitely more popular with conservatives than it was with socialists. Yet, somehow over the decades, the position has changed. And these days, anybody who is described as a free speech absolutist is likely to be denounced as belonging to the far right. For a long time, censorship and efforts to prevent people saying what they please have been on the rise in this country and also in other parts of the Western world. Some of this has been well intentioned, of course. I'm glad that one no longer hears offensive racial epithets being thrown about as freely as they were 50 years ago. Society has changed, and even without any legal sanctions, people using such unfortunate language tend to be eyed askance these days. Of course, there is a downside to this because it has meant that classic works of literature such as Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath and also To Kill a Mockingbird are now frowned upon and have been dropped from school curricula because of the racist slurs they contain. This is not so good because it means that the rising generation will not learn how society used to be and how much better things are these days in that respect. I was prompted to think along these lines by the news that Mark Zuckerberg, who runs Facebook, is dropping all the fact checkers. And quite right too. Those commenting on this channel will have noticed how many comments simply vanish because they fall foul of some algorithm or other. This kind of thing, along with fact-checking and censorship to avoid upsetting the sensibilities of homosexuals, transvestites and ethnic minorities, is such a feature of our lives now that we hardly even notice it. We are used to it, and because it's so common, many of us never even ask ourselves if it's right or wrong. Here's a question. Why should I not be able to say that I dislike Frenchmen or hate transvestites? Why should I be obliged to check all the facts if I wish to speak of COVID or immigration? Now, of course, if I tried to rally a crowd and urge them to hunt down any Frenchmen in London and murder them, then that would be against the law, and rightly so. It has been against the law for hundreds of years to engage in that kind of rhetoric. But saying that I dislike or even hate Frenchmen is a different thing altogether. What about drag queens, socialists, or black people? It goes without saying that there have always been laws to prevent me from encouraging others to harm any group by inciting a pogrom or trying to organise attacks on this or that group or minority. But why should anybody be forbidden to express disapproval, dislike, or contempt? This makes, at least to me, no sense at all. This move by Facebook comes alongside Nick Clegg, the former leader of the Liberal Party and Deputy Prime Minister from 2010 to 2015, leaving the organisation. He's one of those ghastly people like Nicola Sturgeon and Justin Trudeau who pretty much sum up a certain worldview, one which regards free speech as inherently dangerous and something only the far right would be in favour of anyway. I am not personally, and never have been, keen on people who use crude and offensive expressions to refer to ethnic minorities or those who pursue unusual sexual practices, but that doesn't mean that I wish to see them being arrested or banned by Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. To give a real life example, on one of the YouTube channels set up to denounce me and all my works, there's a fellow of Irish ancestry who constantly uses the word darky to refer to black people. I imagine that he picked this word up as a child when he was growing up. It's the first time that I've ever known anybody in the modern world actually to use that expression. Before that, I've really only encountered it in Gone with the Wind. I find it slightly unsettling, but would not wish the person in question to be banned from YouTube. We should be free to use such words, and it's best to rely upon societal disapproval rather than legal action to diminish the frequency with which we see expressions of that kind. In short, there does seem to be a welcome trend now towards abolishing the controls which we put up with for far too long on the use of language. Facebook and Twitter have pioneered the way, and we must hope that YouTube now follows suit.